You can always tell when someone breaks your heart, but what no one tells you is the moment they finally realize they broke it. And for an avoidant, that moment doesn't arrive gently. It crashes into them like a truth they tried to outrun. When an avoidant partner finally realizes that they have broken your heart, it still doesn't happen like a dramatic scene in a movie. There is no sudden rush of emotion that makes them sprint to your door. There isn't an instant apology or a sudden burst of understanding. There is no bright flash of clarity. Instead, their realization forms slowly, moving like a shadow they can't outrun. It comes in quietly, quietly enough that even they don't recognize it at first. It builds over time, accumulating in small moments they never expected would affect them. And most of the time, this happens when it is already too late to fix anything. It usually begins with something simple and ordinary. It could be a picture of you they forgot to delete from their phone. It could be a song that never meant anything before, but now makes their chest tighten. It could be a memory that suddenly flashes into their mind while they're doing something completely unrelated, a memory they thought they had buried. Avoidants don't process heartbreak in real time. They don't feel the loss while you're hurting, while you're crying, or while you're begging them to understand. They feel the loss later, when the silence is too big and there is no one left to soften the corners of their life. That's when the breaking point begins. Avoidants move through the world with an emotional blind spot. They misunderstand things that are clear to others. They interpret your love as pressure. They see your patience as expectations they cannot meet. They see your affection as danger because closeness feels risky to them. In the relationship, they push you away believing it's the best way to protect themselves. They pull back because opening up feels unsafe. They sabotage connection because emotional intimacy feels overwhelming and heavy. They don't do this because they don't care, but because caring feels like stepping into a fire they can't handle. But here's the part that changes everything. They do all of this while assuming you will always be there. They think you'll keep waiting, keep trying, keep reaching out. They believe you'll continue giving love without stopping because that's what you've always done. They convince themselves that you won't leave, that your patience is endless, that your heart will keep absorbing hits forever. They never consider that you will reach a point where you simply cannot carry the relationship alone anymore. When you finally walk away, when you truly detach, when you finally say enough, they feel a shock inside them that they were never prepared to experience. Avoidants do not understand loss until it becomes real. They do not understand your value until you are gone. They do not understand love until the person giving it has nothing left to offer. While you were together, they told themselves they were safer alone. They convinced themselves they didn't need affection. They said they didn't need emotional closeness. They insisted they would be fine without the warmth you gave. They created distance not because you were too emotional or too demanding, but because intimacy triggered pain inside them they never healed. But the distance that once felt comfortable begins to feel cold. The space they created begins to feel like a hole. The freedom they used to crave begins to feel like loneliness that won't go away. Their solitude becomes the place where their regret slowly grows. In the beginning, right after the breakup or the separation, avoidants feel relief. They almost always do. It feels like someone lifted weight off their shoulders. They tell themselves they made the right decision. They feel like they can breathe again. They try to enjoy the calmness. They fill their time with distractions, work, hobbies, new routines, endless scrolling, spending time with friends, anything to avoid thinking about you. They avoid the quiet because the quiet forces them to look at what they ran away from. But that relief is only temporary. It doesn't last as long as they expect. Eventually, it melts away, and when it does, reality begins to hit them in slow waves. They start noticing things they ignored before. They walk into places you visited together and feel a sinking feeling in their stomach. They hear something that reminds them of you, and suddenly their chest tightens. They face stress and instinctively remember how your voice used to calm them, and now that calming voice isn't there. They try to connect with someone new, hoping they can distract themselves, hoping someone else can fill the space you left. But very quickly, they realize something uncomfortable. No one matches your emotional depth. No one has your understanding, your softness, your patience. No one listens the way you listened. No one feels like you. And that's when they start looking back. They begin replaying everything that happened. They remember the arguments not as moments where you were too emotional, but as moments where you were begging for connection. They remember the conversations where you tried to explain your feelings, and they realize how little they gave back. They remember the moments you cried quietly beside them, the nights you sat waiting for them to open up, the days you tried to understand their silence. They realize you held on longer than anyone else would have. You didn't give up easily. You didn't walk away the first time they pushed you. You stayed, tried, fought, and cared even when it exhausted you. They begin to see that you weren't overwhelming. You were offering love. You weren't asking too much. You just wanted emotional presence. You weren't pushing. They were running. And the truth hits them with force. You were never the threat. Their own fears were. Their fear of being abandoned. Their fear of depending on someone. Their fear of being truly seen. Their fear of being hurt if they opened up. To protect themselves, they destroyed the one relationship that was safe. As time goes on, they try to fill the emptiness you left behind, but nothing works. They scroll through your old messages, reading words they once brushed off. They look at pictures longer than they want to admit. They imagine what they would say if they could go back in time. They replay moments where you asked for reassurance and they gave you coldness instead. They imagine how things would be if they had actually tried. They start to understand that they didn't just lose you, they lost the version of themselves they could have become if they let you in. Avoidants live in a loop they don't understand until they're outside the relationship. They wanted safety, but created loneliness. They wanted control, but ended up feeling powerless. They wanted space, but ended up missing the one person who understood them. And now, in the quiet moments, they ask themselves painful questions. Why did I run? Why didn't I trust them? Why did I shut down every time they tried to get close? Why did I ruin something real? These questions don't go away. They become the background noise of their days. And as time passes, their regret deepens. They start to realize that while you were healing, they were only just beginning to feel the loss. They understand, painfully, that your love wasn't the danger, their fear was. And now they finally see the heart they broke, not from a distance, but up close with complete clarity. They see the damage they caused. They feel the weight of their choices. And they know, deep down, that they realized it all far too late. This is the moment when the avoidant begins to crack from the inside. It does not happen loudly. There is no dramatic scene or sudden explosion. It starts quietly, almost secretly in the back of their mind, where they store the things they don't want to think about. Their thoughts start circling around everything they once ignored, everything they brushed aside, everything they refused to face. They begin replaying your long messages, the ones you wrote when you were trying to keep the connection alive, when you were trying to fix the misunderstanding they created. They remember the times you tried to open up and get closer, while they were busy creating distance, shutting down, pulling back, and pretending your feelings were too much for them to handle. They remember the pain in your eyes, that hurt you tried to hide, but couldn't. They remember the disappointment in your voice when you tried to talk to them and they went cold. They remember the confusion on your face when they suddenly pulled away without warning, without explanation, without giving you the closure you deserved. These memories don't arrive all at once. They move slowly, like waves hitting a shore again and again. Each wave brings a new kind of guilt, a new sense of loss, a new reminder of how they treated you. But an avoidant doesn't handle guilt the way a secure person does. A secure person talks, apologizes, makes things right. An avoidant swallows the guilt and tries to pretend it does not exist. They push it down deeper until it becomes a heavy weight they can't run from anymore, a pressure that follows them everywhere. And then comes the moment avoidants fear more than anything in this world. It is not your silence. It is not your distance. It is the realization that you are no longer waiting for them. The realization that you have emotionally moved on, that you have healed, that you have reached a place where they no longer hold the same power over you. What breaks them is not your absence. What breaks them is the finality of your growth. Avoidants expect you to miss them. They expect you to hold on to the connection long after they have stepped back. They expect you to stay emotionally attached even when they give you nothing in return. But when they finally see that you no longer care in the same way, or that you no longer carry the same emotional weight, panic rises inside them. They cannot explain this panic, and they may not even admit it to themselves, but it is real. What destroys them is the understanding that they pushed away the one person who actually cared. They realized that while they were protecting themselves from emotional pain, they were also destroying something meaningful, something warm, something rare. Avoidants do not handle this realization with grace. They start distracting themselves again, diving into work, hobbies, people, anything that keeps them from sitting with their own thoughts. They start rationalizing what they did. They tell themselves, you were too emotional, too demanding, too sensitive, even though deep down they know that you were simply asking to be treated like a human being with feelings. They might even blame you because blaming you helps them protect the fragile parts of themselves. But even when they try to escape, the truth keeps echoing in their mind like a whisper they can't silence. They hurt someone who only wanted to love them. This understanding hits them hardest at night, when the noise of the world fades and there is nothing to distract them. Avoidants do feel emotions. They just feel them late, delayed, long after the moment has passed. They may see your smile in their memories and feel a sharp ache in their chest. They may read old texts and feel guilt spreading slowly through them. They may scroll through photos and suddenly remember how safe they felt around you, how accepted, how understood. You were the person who made them feel calm, the person who made them feel seen, even when they did not know how to receive that kind of care. They never admitted it, but it was true. And with every memory that returns, the truth becomes impossible to escape. They did not just lose you, they broke something inside you that will not be easy to fix. The breaking point of an avoidant is never dramatic. It is slow, heavy, and painful. It is the moment they realize that the very behaviors they believed kept them safe were the same behaviors that made them lose something real. They realize they pushed away someone loyal. They realize they wounded someone who showed up again and again. They realize they destroyed the trust of someone who would have stayed if they had simply allowed themselves to be loved. By the time this realization hits them fully, it is always too late. You have grown. You have adapted to the silence. You have found your balance again. You have learned to live without their emotional absence. You have become stronger in places where you were once hurting, and the part that aches them the most is watching you heal. Watching you become lighter, brighter, happier, or even just unaffected by them in a way you never were before. They interpret your peace as confirmation that they were the one who caused the chaos. It hurts them deeply, not because they want to control you, but because they finally see your value clearly, something they failed to see when you were right in front of them. This creates a private kind of grief inside them, the kind they don't speak about, the kind they don't show, the kind they carry silently like a secret. They may come back. Many avoidants do return eventually, but they rarely come back as the version you always hoped they would become. They come back confused, nostalgic, full of regret, but still emotionally guarded. They do not return because they suddenly fix themselves. They return because they miss the safety and understanding you once gave them. They return because they miss how you made them feel, not because they have learned how to give you the same feeling in return. And when they come back and find that you have changed, that you now have boundaries, that your heart is no longer easily reachable, it shocks them. It forces them to face parts of themselves they have avoided for years. They see your strength clearly now, and it intimidates them because deep down they know they were the reason you had to become stronger in the first place. The truth you need to hold on to is this: their breaking point is not your responsibility. Their regret is not the closure you owe yourself. Their pain is simply the delayed result of everything they ignored. And your healing, your growth, your peace, those things belong to you, not to them. Their pain is not your victory, and it never should have been something you carried like a trophy. You were never meant to feel responsible for their hurt, their inner battles, or the wounds they never healed. Your heart was not built to handle someone else's storms while they refused to even open an umbrella for themselves. You cared in a way many people never learned to. You loved with a kind of softness that takes time, trust, and courage to offer. You tried again and again, even when it felt like you were walking through fire. You reached out in small ways and in big ways. You offered safety, comfort, patience, and understanding. You listened when they talked, and you stayed even when they didn't. You gave what you could, even when your own heart felt tired, because love made you hope that things would change someday. And when they pushed you away, not once but many times, when they shut down instead of opening up, when they chose distance instead of closeness, you faced the truth in front of you. You did something incredibly difficult. You let go of someone you cared deeply about because you finally realized you could not keep losing yourself just to hold on to them. You realized you cannot set yourself on fire to keep another person warm. You stepped away not because you stopped loving them, but because you started loving yourself. That moment of walking away may have felt like breaking apart, but it was also the moment you began putting yourself back together. It was your breaking point, but for them, it became their awakening. Avoidants have a realization that comes slowly, like a quiet echo they try to ignore until it becomes too loud. They eventually understand that love itself was never the danger. Love was never the thing that could hurt them. Love was the one place where they could have learned safety. Vulnerability was not the enemy either. Vulnerability was the bridge that could have connected them to something real, something healing, something beautiful. The real threat was the fear inside them that told them closeness was unsafe, that connection was risky, that opening up meant losing control. And while listening to that fear, they pushed away the very heart that was trying to help them. They pushed away the person who showed them care, patience, and understanding. They did not run from you because you were wrong. They ran because they were afraid. They feared being seen. They feared being known. They feared needing someone. And by trying to protect themselves, they ended up hurting the one person who wanted to stand beside them. When they finally understand the truth, it hits them in a painful and heavy way. They realize losing you was not just losing a person. It was losing safety, losing calm, losing someone who tried to understand the parts of them they never shared with anyone else. They remember your kindness. They remember your smile. They remember the way you stayed patient even when they pulled away. They remember every moment you tried to show them they were safe. And in that realization, it becomes clear to them that they did not lose someone ordinary. They lost someone they may never find again in the same way. That is their awakening, but it is not your burden. Their regret belongs to them. Their pain belongs to them. Their understanding came too late, but that does not mean your life should pause because of it. What matters now is the chapter you are writing for yourself. You are no longer living in the confusion they created. You are no longer stuck in the cycle of trying to fix things you did not break. You survived nights where your heart ached, days where you wondered if you mattered, moments where their silence felt like rejection. You survived questioning your worth because someone else could not face their own fears. You survived waiting for messages that never came, hoping for effort that never appeared, and trying to build a connection that they kept dismantling. You survived feeling like you were asking for too much when all you wanted was honesty, presence, and effort. You survived the weight of their distance and the disappointment of their inconsistency. And surviving all of that changed you. It made you stronger, wiser, more aware of what you deserve. You are no longer that version of yourself who accepted crumbs because you believed they might eventually offer more. You are no longer the version who stayed quiet to keep the peace, who ignored your own needs to avoid losing someone, who waited for emotional maturity that wasn't ready. You grew past that. You learned that love without consistency is confusion. Love without communication is pain. Love without presence is emptiness. You learned that you are worth more than halfway love, more than excuses, more than emotional distance. You learned that someone's inability to love you fully does not mean you are unlovable. It only means they were not ready. And readiness is not something you can force. Let their realization only serve as a reminder that your heart was never the problem, a reminder that you were not too emotional, too giving, too caring, or too much. You were simply trying to love someone who was not prepared for the kind of love you carry. They were unready, not you. They were unsure, not you. They were afraid, not you. Your love was not wasted, even if it was not received. Your love showed you how deeply you can feel, how much you can give, and how strong you are when you choose yourself. Your love proved your capacity for connection, for loyalty, for patience. It showed you that you have a heart that chooses truth, softness, and real closeness. And you deserve someone who can match that. Someone who meets you with steady hands instead of walls. Someone who does not run when things get real. Someone who chooses you without hesitation. Walk forward now with your head high. Move with the confidence of someone who survived what was meant to break them. Keep your boundaries strong because you finally learned their value. Keep your heart open but protected. Keep your soul calm because you now know that peace is something you cannot trade again. The love you gave was not a mistake. It was not foolish. It was not wasted. It simply went to someone who could not handle it at the time. And that is not your fault. Your next chapter begins not with someone else choosing you, but with you choosing yourself, choosing your healing, choosing your peace, choosing your future, choosing not to repeat old cycles, choosing to walk away from emotional chaos, choosing to honor your needs, choosing to give your time and heart only to those who can meet you with the same energy. Your story is not ending. It is shifting, growing, expanding. You are stepping into a version of yourself who knows what they deserve. You are stepping into a chapter where love will not feel like confusion, fear, or distance. Love will feel like calm, honesty, and mutual effort. One day, you will look back and realize that losing them was not the loss you thought it was. It was a turning point, a redirection, a moment that pushed you towards something better, something clearer, something healthier. You were being moved away from someone who could not grow beside you and move toward a life where you can finally breathe. The pain you felt is slowly becoming wisdom. The confusion is becoming clarity. The heartbreak is becoming strength. You are not broken. You are rebuilding. You are not empty. You are learning. You are not lost. You are finding yourself again. Your next chapter begins now, and it begins with you choosing yourself fully, completely, and without fear. An avoidant doesn't truly understand what they lost until it's gone. They spend years running from feelings they don't know how to handle, thinking distance is safety and solitude is freedom. But when the person who gave them love finally leaves, reality hits harder than they ever imagined. The emptiness they once craved turns into a hollow ache, and the relief they felt at being free begins to fade. They start noticing what's missing in ways they never thought mattered. Someone to listen, someone to care, someone to understand without judgment. They realize too late that love was never the enemy. Their own fear was. Their fear of vulnerability, fear of being seen, fear of needing another human being. And all those fears cost them the one person who stayed through it all. They remember the patience you showed, the quiet understanding, the times you held on when they pushed away. They see that what they interpreted as pressure was really love and care, and they understand painfully that they cannot replace what they lost. No new connection, no distraction, no attempt at moving forward fills the space you occupied. They are left with regret that lingers, growing heavier each day, reminding them of the warmth they ignored, the moments they took for granted, the heart they chose to distance themselves from. For an avoidant, the breaking point is not just a moment of sadness. It is a confrontation with truth they avoided for too long. It is a reckoning with the consequences of their choices, a realization that protecting themselves from pain cost them something irreplaceable, and while they may continue to hide behind walls, work, or distractions, deep down, they know that they lost more than a person. They lost the chance to truly experience love, the kind of love that stays even when it is hard, the kind of love you gave so freely.